Hello, welcome back. It's so good to see you. So, today we're going to be doing another book review. But before we get started, I do want to mention that another neighbor, I'm not mad at the neighbor, I'm just mad at the situation, is getting their roof redone. Ever since the hurricane happened in July, it's just every single person is like, oh, well, the neighbor's getting their roof redone, so we're going to get ours redone and it's just nonstop, never ending sound. So hopefully it's not too loud. I did turn the gain down a bit, so hopefully you can't hear it. But if you can, I'm sorry. But I did just finish reading this book, and I wanted to make a video as soon as I got done reading it, because my mom is coming over this weekend, and she's been asking me repeatedly, are you done with the book? Are you done with the book? So, today is the day that I'm making this video, and it just so happens to be that they, down the street, a couple houses down, are getting their roof redone. Oh, and that usually takes up an entire day. So, anyway, enough of me complaining about background noise that you may or may not be able to hear. Let's get into the book review. As some of you may know, I got this book for one of my birthday gifts for my mom. She didn't pick it out. I had actually put it on my Amazon wish list, just because I was looking for new books, and I really liked this cover and I liked the description, and it got really great reviews, so why not, right? This is a book titled My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Fredrik Backman or Friedrich Backman. I don't know. You know I'm the worst. But I really liked the cover. It's one of those books that feels like almost velvety. It feels really nice. So I like that. But I really like the picture. It looks like a painting or something, and it's really just a blank road with some grass, and there's this little girl, and it looks like she's holding a letter or some mail, something like that, and then there is this massive dog next to her. Oh my gosh. And there's really pretty clouds, and it's just, I thought it was really pretty, and I liked it. And I know you're not supposed to judge a book by the cover, but you know me, I always judge a book by the cover. So let's read the back so we can find out what the book is about, and then I will tell you about it. Okay, so this says, I'm just making sure it's within frame. I don't know if you can read it because it's kind of small, but I will read it to you, don't worry. This says, Elsa is 7 years old and different. Her grandmother is 77 years old and crazy, as in standing on the balcony firing paintball guns at strangers crazy. She is also Elsa's best and only friend. At night, Elsa takes refuge in her grandmother's stories in the land of Almost Awake and the kingdom of Miamis. I think that's how you say that. I don't know. Where everybody is different and nobody needs to be normal. When Elsa's grandmother dies and leaves behind a series of letters apologizing to people she has wronged, Elsa's greatest adventure begins. Her grandmother's instructions lead her to an apartment building full of misfits, monsters, attack dogs, and old cronies? Crones? I don't know. But also to the truth about fairy tales and kingdoms, and a grandmother like no other. My grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry is told with the same comic accuracy and beating heart as Frederick Backman's best-selling novel, A Man Called Ove? I don't know. It is a story about life and death and one of the most important human rights, the right to be different. And then there's a little thing on the inside. It says adults are always telling Elsa she's different. Her grandmother wouldn't have it any other way. She knows that being different is what makes life interesting. And Elsa's life is about to get very interesting indeed. Okay, so I'm just gonna be real upfront with you. I hated this book. I hated it so much. This is an example of you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, because I looked at the cover and was like, wow, it's gonna be amazing. And I read the reviews, and the reviews were like, oh, this is so good and heartfelt and blah blah blah. So I was like, yes, it's gonna be one of those good books that's like gonna make me cry or something. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I hated every second of reading this book. It was like literary torture. Okay, I apologize if you've read this book and it's one of your favorites. I just couldn't get into it. And I read the whole painful story, okay? And the story's not painful. I mean, maybe it's meant to be, I don't know. But it was painful for me to read. It was awful. It was so dry, so boring. Okay, so this little girl, this is Elsa. There's just a lot of things that make me mad in the story. This little girl is 7, almost turning 8, and she is so brilliant. She is so intelligent for her age, okay? Just a real smart girl. But when she goes to school, she is literally bullied and beaten, chased down and beaten every single day. And no one cares. No one cares. She tries to ask for help. She tries to tell her parents. She tells the, I don't know, headmaster, principal, whatever you call it. No one cares. And I'm like, oh no. Oh no. It like enraged me. But anyway, so she has no friends. No friends. So her grandmother is her literally her only friend. And so her grandmother creates this alternate reality, called In the Land Before You Fall Asleep or something. I don't know, it said it on the back. It doesn't matter. And it's supposed to be like this magical land, and her and her grandmother have their own secret language. You later find out that it's not a secret language, she's just speaking in a different language. But nobody else around them knows this language, so she thinks that it's a secret language that only the two of them know. But her grandma is fun. Her grandma's fun because her grandma is crazy. Like, all her screws came loose. Not just one, all of them. But for some reason, she's allowed to be alone with this little girl. And they have these grand adventures. Like, for example, this is in like chapter 1. Her grandmother decides that because she got beat up at school one day, and so she wanted to make her weekend special. So she tells her granddaughter, who lives across the hall, because they all live in this apartment complex, or I don't know what it's called, but because this is based like in the UK or something, um, we call it an apartment complex, something like that. They live in the same apartment complex, in the same building, and her grandmother lives across the hall from her. So she's like, okay, when your parents go to sleep, I want you to sneak out and come over to my apartment. So this 7-year-old girl's like, okay, cool, grandma. So she sneaks out, goes to her grandma's house, and then they're like, you know what, we're gonna go to the zoo. Yeah, it's midnight, but we're gonna go to the zoo because you need to see the monkeys. The monkeys will make you laugh and it'll make you have a great time. So they go to the zoo, but it's closed. Don't worry about that. Let's just hop this fence. It's no big deal. And they go see the monkeys, and they climb into the monkey cage. And then the security guard sees them, and the grandma's like, screw you. We're not going to listen to the man. And starts flinging monkey feces at the security guard. So they end up being arrested, or the grandmother does, and she is, I don't want to say a jail cell, but she's in a special room with her grandmother, police officer, and the granddaughter. And the grandma is just losing her mind on this cop and like all this stuff. And the little girl's like, so can we call my mom? Because I don't want to be in jail, Anyway, see, I told you that real quick and easy. No big deal. It took like a whole chapter and a half just to get that out. That's one thing that I hated about it. That is the main thing that I hated about reading this book, is it's told through the eyes of a 7-year-old. Now, this 7-year-old is quite intelligent, but if you have ever had a child, a grandchild, or been around a child that's trying to tell you a very simple story, it takes about 2.5 hours to get to the point of the story. That's exactly how this book is written, and I absolutely hate it. I hate it, because it's like, come on, you could have said this in like a paragraph or two or something. Now, I understand that it's a book and there's supposed to be detail and stuff, but it's not detailed. It's told in a roundabout way where it's like, none of this is necessary. It's not like describing the room or the feelings or not. No. None of that. It's over explaining things, but not even in a good ASMR way. It's like, what are you trying to say to me, little girl? Oh, okay. 27 pages later. Oh, your grandma got arrested for breaking into the zoo. Got it. It was exhausting reading this book, okay? But it's basically, you find out, I mean, it says in the very back, her grandma's her best friend, grandma dies. Grandma was a crazy person, and she was very mean to everyone. Well, she writes these letters to tell people that she's sorry. She's like, oops, sorry, I was so mean. But instead of like a normal person handing them out to the people or putting them in a place to be given at your funeral or like after you die, that kind of thing, no, she doesn't tell anyone about the letters except this 7-year-old girl. She hands her one letter and she's like, I need you to deliver this to somebody in the building. Or no, she doesn't know who she needs to deliver it to. It happens to be somebody in the building, but she's like, deliver this to a person. But you have to figure out who the person is. This is part of your last grand adventure that I'm going to give you. You're going on, like, I don't want to say a treasure hunt, but there are other letters, And she's like, you gotta figure it out on your own, though. So it's your own adventure. Which I guess is good that she did that for her granddaughter, but it's like she did not make it easy. Not at all. But I guess because the granddaughter was so smart, she was eventually able to figure it out. And then you find out more about the grandmother's past, who she was, things that she did for people or to people. And I just could not get into it because the writing was just so bleh. Like, maybe it's that this guy's style. I don't know. But because it was a 7-year-old girl trying to tell a story or trying to describe what's going on, it was just so drawn out and unnecessary, and it like aggravated me. And I'm mad because I feel like this could have been a good story, but because she drug things out, it like made me not care about the characters and not care about the story. And it's like, it just really made me mad. Because I get to the end of the story and I'm like, okay, that's it? That's all we got? Alright. I got nothing from this. Like, I didn't have any emotional connection. I didn't cry. It didn't make me happy. It didn't make me laugh. It said that this was funny. No, it wasn't. It was like, okay, and there was, maybe it's just not my type of humor. I don't know, but it didn't make me like chuckle in the slightest. Not the slightest. I hated reading this book, and like I kept putting it off, and I would only read like maybe 1 or 2 chapters a day, and like even then it was so dry and boring that I would like fall asleep mid reading, okay? And then I would have to reread, and I'm like, oh, it was pure torture. Pure torture. I love reading. I love reading so much, you know that. It's one of my favorite things to do. I hated my reading time when I was reading this book. I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it's just, I don't know why I couldn't get into it. I have no idea. But I just couldn't. And the more I read, the more angry I got, the more bored I became, the more angry I got. And then I got to the end and I'm like, well, what the hell? What was the point? I feel like I wasted so much time. I don't know. So I am so sorry if you are a fan of this book. And I really don't want to give it to my mom. Because I feel like she's not going to like it either. I think she's going to be bored out of her mind. And just be like, okay. Because me and my mom typically like the same books. I absolutely hated this book. And I'm the one who picked it out. Yes, I did get it for a birthday gift. But I'm the one who picked it out. I made a bad choice because I judged the book by the cover. But the reviews were so good. The reviews were so good. And it's a bestseller. Like, it's got a book club thing. Those are supposed to be the best kind of books. Nope, not this one. Not for me. Not for me. Anyway, so again, I'm sorry if you are a fan of this book. But if you've never heard of this book and you see it and you're like, I wonder if it's a good book. Let me read the reviews. No, this is not a good book. This is so boring. If you've liked any of the books that I like, you're not gonna like this. Anyway, I guess I hope you enjoyed that. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.